Whenever you're ready.
You were just left with that picture of Harmony, and seeing that picture is heartbreaking, knowing that Harmony is dead. But Adam Montgomery did not kill Harmony. Adam Montgomery did not beat Harmony in the head as he approached the Burger King drive-thru. Adam Montgomery did not cause Harmony's death. Kayla Montgomery was the last person to see Harmony alive and know how Harmony died. But she didn't come clean with Adam. She didn't come clean with the police. And she will not come clean with you. She is still lying about the cause of Harmony's death. Even though Kayla now has her deal with the state, she continues to lie. The only reason Kayla has to lie now is to protect herself. The only reason she has to lie and point the finger at Adam is because the truth points the finger at her. The only reason Kayla has to lie to make Harmony's death so brutal and foul by Adam is to hide that Adam was protecting Kayla, his wife, and the mother of his kids. Now look, I'm not pretending that Adam isn't innocent here. Adam is not an innocent here. He and Kayla covered up Harmony's death. He's not an innocent here. He and Kayla moved Harmony's body from place to place to keep it hidden. And Adam is not an innocent here. He and Kayla put her body in a shower to wash her remains of the fluids of decomposition and then permanently hid her remains. You can and should find him guilty of those crimes. But in committing those crimes and sticking with a story that protected his wife, Adam set himself up for Kayla's betrayal. Her betrayal to accuse him in the most vile way possible of what he did not do. To accuse him of brutally killing his, not her, daughter, when she knew that was not what happened. The evidence that will show you that Adam did not brutally murder Harmony will come mostly and very reluctantly from his accuser, Kayla. Not from other witnesses or the physical evidence, but by showing that Kayla's lies continue. And the only one protected by those lies is her. Because only she, other than an infant and a toddler, was around when Harmony died. Only she knows the truth, and only she has benefited from all the lies she has told. November 27, 2019, a day before Thanksgiving. Adam, Kayla, Adam's daughter, Harmony, toddler son, Seamus, infant son, Declan, were evicted from their home on Guilford Street in Manchester. They began living out of their Chrysler Sebring. In the following week, when Adam was running around trying to make money to get them out of their situation, Kayla was left cooped up in that seemingly increasingly smaller by the minute car with a 5-year-old child, not her own, a 2-year-old toddler, and a less than 1-year infant, all of whom needed attention, all of whom needed to move around, and none of whom were doing well being cooped up in that car. And Kayla didn't do well either. Adam was off doing his own thing, and Kayla was stuck. Harmony's body was not discovered lifeless in the car at that busy intersection you saw yesterday. It was not discovered at that intersection in the middle of the day on December 7, 2019, as Kayla now claims. Both Adam and Kayla discovered Harmony's cold, lifeless body much earlier, in the dark of night, behind Colonial Village, when Adam returned from his business. Kayla made Adam feel responsible. She claimed not to know what happened. It was Adam's fault for everything they were going through. It was not her fault, she insisted. She thought all the kids were asleep. He had to protect her. He had to protect their children. If anyone found out, their children would be taken. Adam stood by Kayla, and together they covered up Harmony's death. By that decision, Adam became so intertwined in Harmony's death that he could not get out. Neither Adam nor Kayla knew what to do, so they put the decision off. Adam placed Harmony's body in a duffel bag from the car and placed that duffel bag in the trunk. And Harmony's body was in that bag in the trunk of the car when it broke down at the intersection of Webster and Elm. They had driven off from the Colonial Village apartments to try and figure out what to do, where to put Harmony's body. But then the car broke down. When it did, Adam grabbed the bag from the trunk and carried Harmony's body away from the intersection to the parking lot at Colonial Village. From there, as you'll hear, Harmony's body was moved from place to place until Adam and Kayla finally figured out a plan to hide the body permanently. When asked, Adam and Kayla told people that Harmony was back with her biological mom in Massachusetts. Let's now move forward 2 years. December 2021. This was 2 years after Harmony's death and close to a year after Kayla and Adam had separated. The police were now investigating Harmony's disappearance. They found Kayla and asked her where to find Adam and where Harmony was. Kayla gave the lie she and Adam had used to explain why Harmony was no longer living with them after Harmony died in December of 2019. That Adam had returned Harmony to her mother in Massachusetts. Kayla also told the police that she believed Adam was in Maine. After speaking with the police, she contacts Adam and she told him, quote, "You need to come down here." She told him he needed to return to New Hampshire and deal with the police because she was not going to deal with all this by herself. Adam did what Kayla told him to do and returned. But unfortunately for Kayla, he also brought another woman, Kelsey Small, with him. Adam met up with Kayla and they talked about what to do. That New Year's Eve 2021, Kayla talked to the police again. This time, it was at the Manchester police station. She again gave the lie that protected her, insisting Adam took Harmony to her mother's, and that was all that she knew. And after well over an hour of talking, as Kayla stuck with this lie, the police gave her time alone to think, to write down what she wanted to say, just in case it was too difficult to verbally speak about. And Kayla did take that time alone to think and to write. And this is what she wrote. Quote, "I don't know what happened. No clue. I just know he left to bring her to meet her mom, to give Harmony to her after he dropped me off at work in the morning." And she wrote, "You need to get him to talk. He won't tell me anything. So he obviously did something and isn't saying anything to me." Kayla was ready to point the finger at Adam, but only in a way that protected herself. 5 days later, January 5th, Kayla was arrested anyway, but for something different than what the police had wanted to talk with her about. Instead of being arrested in relation to Harmony's disappearance, she was arrested for something else, what eventually became a theft charge. But she knew the arrest was to pressure her. While in jail, Kayla had more time to think and to scheme. How was she going to get out of this mess that she was in? She knew that the police thought she had information about what happened to Harmony, and she knew that the walls were closing in. Kayla also knew that pointing the finger at Adam was worth something, and pointing the finger would help get her out of this mess, and she thought about how to use Adam to get out of it. What I am holding up for you is defense's G for identification. This plastic bag contains a note. This note is written by Kayla, and it reflects what she wanted for a bargain. A few weeks after her incarceration, this note was found in Kayla's cell. And in her musings, she writes of her willingness to, quote, betray Adam. Not to finally be free of Adam, not to finally be safe from him, not to tell the truth, to betray, meaning stab him in the back. But she also wrote of her longing to be alone with him one more time, to kiss, to make love if she could. She didn't write of fearing to be alone with him. She did not write of any fear that Adam would hurt or kill her for her betrayal. In her fairy tale musings, Adam would understand and protect her to the end. Their children needed their mother, she wrote. But as this note also shows, Kayla wanted more than just one last time with Adam. She had a whole wish list, a set of demands. She wanted, quote, immunity from everything. Everything being in all capital letters. She wanted immunity from everything, all charges I'm facing, and what I'm going to say about Adam. Maybe ankle bracelet or probation or drug court. Kids in my life. Not lose custody or rights to my children at all, and be able to have kids live with me once I do a residential treatment program and complete it. Kayla was willing to sing for her supper, not for truth, not for harmony, but for Kayla. Kayla was all about protecting herself to wiggle out of accountability for her own conduct. After that note was discovered in Kayla's cell in January of 2022, January 29th to be exact, Kayla told a correctional officer that she wanted to speak with the Attorney General's office. But no one came to her with a deal. And instead of a deal, she got a subpoena. She got subpoenaed to appear before the grand jury in March, and she remained in jail. Now, Kayla finally got out on bail on May 6th, but she still had been subpoenaed to testify before the grand jury This time on May 20th. Still no deal. And when Kayla finally appeared before the grand jury, she still had no deal. It was explained to Kayla that she could choose not to answer a question if it would incriminate her. Instead, though, she chose to lie under oath, the same oath you'll see her take later, trying to make herself look innocent while pointing the finger at Adam. She told the grand jury that Adam had dropped her off at Dunkin' Donuts on November 30th with Harmony and the two boys in the car, and said that he was returning Harmony to her mother in Massachusetts. But even as Kayla insisted that she didn't know what happened to Harmony, a bombshell drops. The Attorney General's office, the AG, told her as she was testifying she was working at Dunkin' Donuts that they had her employment records. Was she sure? They asked. Kayla knew then that she was caught. She was caught in a lie. The AG had her employment records, looked at them, and knew that she was not working. And this was not just a simple, honest mix-up of days. Those records showed that the AG's office had, those records showed that she had been fired from Dunkin' Donuts for stealing even before the family had been evicted on the 27th of November. She knew she was caught in a lie. She knew the AG's office could prove it, but she had not developed a new lie and couldn't change course in midstream without a plan. So that day before the grand jury, May 20th, she kept marching forward, hoping that maybe they would believe her anyway. Nothing happened at first after her grand jury testimony was over, but Kayla knew it was coming. And roughly 2 weeks later, on June 3rd, when Kayla checked in as part of her bail conditions, it did. It came. She was arrested for lying before the grand jury. Kayla had a new story prepared, but with the new charges, the state had the upper hand. She was allowed to give her new story with the agreement that her statements could not later be used against her. But there was no guarantee of a deal, and instead, Kayla would only get that deal that she wanted if her statements helped the police figure out what happened to Harmony. And if the state decided that Kayla's statements were not helpful, she would be facing not only the charges she was already facing, but now 2 more felony charges, this time for perjuring herself before the grand jury, plus any charges that could come about if the police were able to figure out what happened to Harmony without her statements. And Kayla knew that the police were going to follow up on what she now said. And without something to corroborate this new story she was going to give, there wouldn't be any reason for the police to accept it. After all, she had already lied to the grand jury to point the finger at Adam. So instead of the truth, she told a lie of a brutal killing where she was also a victim. But because there cannot be any corroboration for the lie itself, Kayla intermingled some of the truth of how she and Adam covered up Harmony's death. The lie itself cannot be corroborated, but there would be corroboration in the truth of the cover-up. Because Kayla's new story was not true of how Harmony died, she lacked real memories to draw from, and the details did not fit. Both the details she provided and the ones she did not provide. And it is in those details, details based on a lie, that begin to reveal the lie still being told by Kayla. At first, Kayla's new story for the police, when she gave a proffer on June 3rd of 2022, her new story was that it was the middle of the night, 2 or 3 a.m. Harmony had been having trouble controlling her bodily functions while the family had been living out of the car, and Harmony went to the bathroom again. Adam responded by repeatedly punching Harmony, probably like 10 to 15 times. That story changed to Adam assaulting Harmony in the morning before they went to the clinic for their methadone. The story then continued by saying that Adam struck Harmony again after getting back in the car from the clinic. Then, as they drove to Burger King because Kayla wanted to get something to eat for her and the kids, the story expanded to Adam punching Harmony as he was driving into the Burger King parking lot. Kayla claimed to recall Adam commenting that the last strike was different. He thought he hurt Harmony. Kayla did tell the police that she put an arm up briefly to try and stop Adam, but to no avail. Adam drove up to the Burger King drive-thru. They ordered their food. Adam paid cash. The family got their food and drove back to the Colonial Village apartments with Harmony moaning in the back. That's her story. And when asked, Kayla claimed that she fed the kids. She told the police that she went up to her friend Anthony Bodero's residence to get some drugs for she and Adam to use, leaving Adam alone in the car with Declan, Seamus, and Harmony. This whole entire story was not true. Excuse me. One of the things that you'll see that reveals her story about punching to be a lie is that she is unable to describe a true scene. She does not describe 2-year-old Seamus crying as his sister beside him is being struck. She does not describe the baby screaming as violence and chaos break out around him. She does not describe trying to soothe or quiet the children. Nor does she describe Adam reacting at all to what would have been a cacophony of screaming and crying had all that punching been true. She does not describe trying to hide a broken child from the Burger King cashier or any concern on Adam's part that Harmony might be seen by the cashier or the camera. She does not describe Harmony as she feeds, piece by piece, food to Seamus, who is next to her in the backseat of the car. She does not describe seeking help from her friend she got drugs from. She doesn't describe any concern by her friend, Anthony Bordero, that she seems upset. And please keep close attention to Kayla's various descriptions of the car breaking down, where she claims that she and Adam first discovered that Harmony is dead. Kayla told the police that with Harmony in what would have been a critical, perhaps fatal condition in the back seat, the family decided to drive away from their corner in the back of the Colonial Village apartments. Yet Kayla did not remember where they were going. Then the car broke down at the intersection of Webster and Elm, and they discover Harmony's dead body in the back seat. Kayla talked about waving, honking, agitated drivers behind them around the car as Adam manhandles a dead child in the back seat into a duffel bag. And no one notices. Their car did break down on December 7th at the intersection of Webster and Elm. That is not in question here. And the family did walk back to Bodero's. But Harmony's body was already in the duffel bag, in the trunk, from when they discovered her death in the early hours of the night before. Yesterday, before we broke, the court gave you a partial set of instructions on how you are to go about deciding this case. Among them was an instruction on assessing the credibility of witnesses. It is up to you to determine the credibility of witnesses. But the judge did suggest an illustrative list of factors to consider in making that determination. One factor is whether what the witness said appeared reasonable. In discerning this, details matter, the details that are given and the details that are not. Is the witness pulling from a well of true memory or just making it up? Another factor the court has offered for your consideration is whether what the witness said is consistent with other evidence in the case. And that leads me to some of the science that was used in this case. Kayla also described Adam cleaning up blood spilled by Harmony with a kerchief. That lie was exposed by a special test that can reveal blood traces, even blood that was supposedly cleaned up. Luckily for the police, they were able to locate the broken down Sebring 2 years later. They're able to bring it to their lot at the police station, and they're able to search and test it with a special test that could detect invisible blood, blood that cannot be seen with the naked eye. No traces of blood, including on the back passenger seat where Kayla said Harmony bled and Adam cleaned it up. In offering guidance in assessing witness credibility, another common sense factor offered by the court is whether the witness had a bias or motive to lie. There will be time during Kayla's testimony, during direct and cross, to explore the changes, the inconsistencies, and details within her story, both those that are there and those that are not. And you just heard about the science to also assist you in evaluating Kayla's claims. But here, what follows is an example of Kayla's motive to lie at play, of Kayla taking something true and twisting it to point the finger at Adam, yet hide her own involvement. In telling the police how Harmony's body was finally removed from their lives, Kayla described an incredibly disturbing treatment of Harmony's body, her remains in the refrigerator before being placed in the shower, under hot water, washing away the fluids. Kayla at first said it was all Adam, and he wouldn't even let her in the bathroom. But she slipped up, and fortunately, the interviewers caught it. They caught the slip, and they probed. Kayla had to admit that she was part of it too. She cut off Harmony's hoodie in the shower, and she and Adam bagged up Harmony's clothes. And when that was done, Kayla and Adam put her remains in another bag, with Kayla helping Adam to zip that bag up. You will hear that after Adam and Kayla permanently hid Harmony's remains, that their relationship became more frayed. Adam struggled with the loss of Harmony and his mental health suffering. Adam and Kayla separated briefly. That was in the spring of 2020 before reconciling. But Adam continued to spiral, and a year later was arrested after another episode. He went to rehab, then stayed at a sober house before going to Maine with Kelsey Small, which was where he was in December of 2021 when Kayla told him to return to New Hampshire and help her deal with the police. Joined with the murder and related charges is a second-degree assault charge. That allegation is that Adam knowingly caused bodily injury to Harmony in July of 2019 by striking her in the face with a fist. Harmony did get a black eye during the summer of 2019, and no question about it, Adam did react when he saw Harmony trying to smother her brother, jerking her away to stop her. But that is not what caused the black eye. On July 22nd of 2019, Kevin Montgomery, Adam's uncle, came up from Florida to the house. He saw Harmony's black eye, prompting a conversation about her. During this conversation, Adam told Kevin about a time when he walked in to find Harmony smothering then 5-month-old Declan. Harmony had her hand wrapped around his mouth, causing him to turn blue. Adam pushed Harmony away while checking on Declan. Then, a week later, upon returning to Florida, I believe it was July 29th, Kevin made a report to New Hampshire DCYF, and he told DCYF that Adam gave Harmony a black eye, conflating what Adam had said. A veteran caseworker, Dimitrios Saros, responded that very same day, the 29th, to investigate. Though the encounter was brief, he did see Adam and Harmony outside the house getting into a car, and when he saw Harmony, he observed no concerns. He also followed up, paying another visit on August 7th. This time, he did see a small red mark in Harmony's right eye and faded bruising under the eyelid. He spoke to Harmony alone, asked probing questions to find out what may or may not have happened, and then, after doing his job, left the visit satisfied that there was no substantiated evidence of abuse. I am getting ready to step down, but before I do, there is just one more instruction I need to discuss. The court has instructed you that you are to decide this case not on sympathy, but on the evidence and the evidence alone. This case involves the tragic and senseless death of Harmony, an innocent 5-year-old, and it triggers perfectly understandable, innate human emotions, and it would be a human not to feel them. But as was discussed during the jury selection process, and as you've been instructed by the court, you all have a difficult yet necessary task: deciding this case not on emotion, not on sympathy, but on the evidence. And after you have heard all the evidence, after you've heard all the evidence in this case and apply the facts to the law, you will know that Adam did not murder his daughter or engage in witness tampering with Kayla. Kayla was an equal participant in the cover-up. She alone knows how Harmony died, and she won't tell. At this trial's conclusion, we will ask you to follow the evidence you have heard and find Adam not guilty of murdering his daughter, witness tampering with Kayla, and second-degree assault.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've now heard opening statements. As I told you when I gave you my preliminary instructions, we would generally be taking a mid-morning and mid-afternoon break, and I do look for natural breaking points in a trial to do that. I think this is one of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 15-minute break now, so use the restroom, have a drink of water, and we'll come back in 15 minutes and begin the evidence. All right, all rise for the jurors, please.
Good morning, guys. That was opening statements from actually the defense. The prosecution went first, and now this is their morning break. As you just heard the judge say, these cases are really hard, the kid cases. So
Seated counsel, approach for just a minute.
hearing this. I mean, I think that they're both just absolutely unbelievable. And I just, it pains me to ever hear that the state wants to give anybody like this deals. They're both, in my opinion, guilty. We'll see. What happened yesterday, though, is that Adam went ahead through his attorneys. He's not there today. He was not there yesterday. Through his attorneys, admitted guilt. So he didn't admit to killing his kid. He admitted to, removing abuse of a corpse, and then he admitted to two things. That was abuse of a corpse. And what else did he do yesterday? Tampering with evidence. So, just so sad. Yeah, I agree. Somebody wrote it up there, and I saw it. Prayers for the jury, like to just right there, Gemini. Yep, it's unbelievable. To get picked to be on this case, it's hard. They should be. I believe that Kayla and Adam should both be sitting at that table, and I don't think that they should not be able to be in there and hearing this. But maybe that's strategic on his part. He's making it seem like it's going to be too hard to hear those opening statements, because it's not the evidence during opening statements. It's obviously, I wasn't streaming at the time of the prosecutions. I was listening to it, and I said, to hell with this. I'm going to go ahead and stream this. Anybody that messes with a kid, take the key away. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna have a smoke. This is heavy. Yeah, sad. But as soon as they return, it'll just be streaming here. So if you need to take a break, if you need to go adopt a child right now, go right ahead. This is just, there's so many people out there that can't have kids. There's so many people out there that would love to have a child, and to hear this crap. And I mean, I don't know how you live with 2 infants and a 5-year-old in a car and a Sebring. Like, those cars are tiny. Yeah. And you just keep having kids. Yeah. And you're just using them for the government money. Yeah, the prosecution, it was sad. Heather says, put me in a room with them. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. But we'll be back. Yeah. So I think he's going to be back in the courtroom tomorrow. I think once he misses the beginning part of it, it's not like he can just come in now. So I think that if he forfeits that day, like a part of that day, he's forfeiting the whole day, if I remember correctly. So, but this is on a recess here. So short morning break. I'm going to play a little clip of Court TV while we wait.
Man accused of
Actually,
beating
long
his
time.
5-year-old daughter to death, then hiding her young body is just weeks
As soon as
away.
they get
Adam
back in the
Montgomery
courtroom,
faces
I
several
will
charges,
resume.
including second-degree murder and falsifying physical evidence in connection to the suspected murder of his daughter, Harmony Montgomery, whose body has yet to be found. Harmony was reported missing in November 2021, nearly 2 years after investigators say she was killed. The details surrounding the crime are heinous. Prosecutors say Adam beat his daughter to death in a fit of rage after a bathroom accident in the car, then moved her body in different hiding places in an effort to conceal her remains. As both the prosecution and Adam's defense attorneys prepare for trial, in the latest courtroom filing, the defense now says they want several pieces of key evidence to be kept hidden from the jury. The attorneys representing Adam say prosecutors plan to present what could be damning evidence against their client. They say prosecutors plan to share disturbing details that include Adam allegedly purchasing 40 pounds of pelletized limestone, another 40-pound bag of limes, a power grinder, a metal-cutting diamond blade, a lithium-ion battery and charger, all for the purpose to conceal Harmony's body. But in court documents filed by the state, it further explains the grisly and chilling details prosecutors say will help support them in trial. In a 12-page response to the defense motion, prosecutors say Adam's estranged wife, Kayla Montgomery, informed officers he purchased lime because he believed that would assist in decomposing Harmony's body and prevent her body from being found. Kayla also revealed to investigators that he had Harmony's body in a bag, and that at one point he took the body out of the bag and into a hot shower to manipulate the body to put her in pieces. The documents go on to state investigators later obtained bank records from Adam and Kayla's shared account that revealed more. According to records, in February 2020, a cash withdrawal was made from the account at an ATM located directly across the street from the Home Depot where Adam worked. Officials say one cash purchase of limes was made on February 15, 2020. Another was made on February 26, 2020. Just one day later, on February 27th, prosecutors say there was a work order made for Adam's apartment to snake the drain of the bathtub. And according to more court documents, officers learned Adam disposed of Harmony's corpse between March 3rd and March 4th of 2020. Just 5 days after the ATM withdrawals and cash purchases were made at Home Depot, and 3 months after investigators believe she was killed. Authorities say in March of 2023, Kayla was able to match the bag used to conceal Harmony's body to the purchases Adam allegedly made at Home Depot back in 2020. Fast forward to 2024, ahead of his upcoming murder trial, lawyers for Adam are firing back against his estranged wife, Kayla, saying she downplayed her role in disposing of Harmony's remains. His attorneys say Kayla actively assisted in the manipulation of Harmony's remains and knew full well a saw, blade, grinder, or battery were not used. The defense wants to block any mention of the 80 pounds of lime, a diamond blade, and the power grinder purchases from getting in front of the jury at the upcoming trial, where Kayla is expected to be a key witness. She testified previously as a state's witness in his 2023 weapons trial under a plea agreement.
Where do you currently reside?
The state prison for women
And how long have you lived there?
since November 2022.
Why do you live in the women's prison?
Perjury charges.
Were you convicted of those charges
Yes,
and sentenced for those charges?
yes,
Were you also charged with receiving stolen property?
yes,
And those charges were dismissed as part of a Were those
yes,
charges dismissed as part of a plea agreement?
yes,
And you admitted to lying to the grand jury?
yes,
Did you admit to, apologies. Did you admit to lying to the grand jury?
yes,
Do you understand the consequences of providing false testimony here today?
yes,
The charges stemmed from an unrelated 2019 incident where Adam was accused of stealing and possessing a rifle and shotgun, then selling them as a previously convicted felon. While on the stand, Kayla testified Adam stole the weapons to swap them out for money or drugs. But she also gave insight into their home life in the months leading up to Harmony's death.
So focusing back on that time period, September, October 2019, what was your life like back then?
I was working up until November 2019 at Dunkin' Donuts. I would work 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And Adam would be home with the kids while I'm at work. And he would drop me off and pick me up from work because I didn't have a license. And then after he would pick me up, I would be at the house with the kids, and he would leave some nights because we were using drugs.
When you say we were using drugs, what do you mean?
Like getting high, using heroin and crack and weed.
And when you say we were getting high and using heroin and crack and weed, who's we?
Adam and I.
And what was your drug of choice?
It was both heroin and crack.
Are you sober now?
Yes.
What did it take for you to become sober?
Going to jail.
All right, they're coming back into the
I
courtroom.
asked you about your drug of choice back
At least the
then. What was the
prosecution is.
defendant's?
He looks like Johnny
Heroin.
Manziel.
What did the defendant do for work back then?
He was home with the kids.
And he'd leave at night, you said?
Yeah, he would leave after I'd be home for a couple hours, and go for rides.
Okay. Do you know, back then, how did you get your drugs?
I had money from my job, and that's what I remember up until we got kicked out, evicted from the house.
And you mentioned Harmony, Declan, and Seamus. How did you support them?
We had food stamps, and my income, which was barely anything at the time.
Adam was ultimately convicted in his weapons trial and sentenced to spend up to 6 decades behind bars. Before the judge handed down his sentence, Adam denied having anything to do with his 5-year-old daughter's death.
So I understand that I was found guilty by a jury, and I'm not here to dispute that at all. The only consideration that I ask of you this morning is for you not to consider anything as it relates to the case regarding my daughter Harmony. I did not kill my daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial to refute those offensive claims. Probably won't believe me when I tell you that I didn't wake up one morning and choose to become an addict. I don't want to be an addict. And I will spend my time in prison utilizing it to the best of my ability to change things about myself. I could have had a meaningful life, and I blew that opportunity through drugs. But I loved my daughter unconditionally, and I did not kill her. So please don't consider anything that relates to those charges. Only consider the facts to this case.
It was a different tune from Adam's 2021 police encounter, where body cam footage shows officers questioning Adam about his daughter's whereabouts. The footage is captured on December 31st, 2021, the day Manchester police first announced a missing persons investigation for Harmony, who hadn't been seen alive since 2019. Adam was found sleeping in a car in a parking lot when authorities caught up with him.
Been pulled asleep. We make contact right now. Show me your hands.
You guys want to code at all? Or you guys good?
Keep your hands where I can see
Court
them.
is still in recess right now, so we are
Step on out.
taking a peek at this clip.
Hey, keep your hands where I can see them. What's going on?
All right, they're coming back in.
What? Adam.
Adam, you have anything on you?
No.
All right, come right over here.
What's wrong?
I'm just going to pat you down, make sure you don't have any weapons. Put your hands on top of your head, okay? On top of your head.
Please be seated. When the state is ready, you may call your first witness.
Coroner, the state calls Michelle Raftery. And Ms. Raftery, if you could just remain standing and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you will provide will be the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury? You can make yourself comfortable, Ms. Raftery. There's a microphone in front of you, and I'm just going to ask that you speak into that so that everyone can hear what you're saying. Can you begin by stating and spelling your last name for the record?
Yep. Michelle Raftery, Raftery.
And what's your date of birth, Ms. Raftery?
9/11/70,
Where do you currently live?
Haverhill, Massachusetts.
And how long have you lived there?
In Haverhill, about 25 years.
Who do you live there with?
My husband and 3 of my children.
And what's your husband's name?
Timothy.
And your children?
The
their
ones that are home?
ages?
Oh, their ages?
Yes.
Ben's 25, Jaden is 14, and Claire is 13.
And do you have children that live with you?
Those are the ones that live with me. Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a behavioral health partner
And how long have you done that?
for a year.
Prior to that, what did you do for a living?
I was a FRL, a family resource liaison.
And can you explain what that is to the jurors?
Yes, I work with foster parents and I help support them and run support groups and trainings for them.
Do you have any experience as a foster parent yourself?
Yes, I do. Over 13 years.
And can you tell the jury about that experience?
Yes, we had the privilege of being Harmony's foster parents.
And you mentioned the name Harmony just now.
Yep.
Who is she to you?
She was our foster daughter.
What did she call you?
Mama.
Your husband, Tim, what did she call him?
She called him Dada and Papa.
You said that you'd been a foster parent for 13 years?
Yep.
What point in that time when those 13 years did you take Harmony in?
Like probably halfway through the years. Yep. So she came to us at 2014.
And tell us about that.
Yep. So you always start off with, you get a phone call from DCF and they tell you a little bit about the child. And Harmony was 2 months old at the time. And she had a pretty intimidating diagnosis at first. So, I did a lot of Google research, but I still knew that we wanted to say yes. And Harmony came and lived with us when she was 2 months old.
Pretty intimidating. What were you told about Harmony before
So
you
we
took her?
we were told that she has hydroprocephaly, which is like a disorder with her brainstem. And we were told that she was legally blind in both eyes and that she probably wasn't going to live 7 months.
I'm sorry, can you say that last thing?
Yeah, that she probably wasn't going to live past 7 months old. Hydroprocephaly was the original first diagnosis.
You mentioned this blindness.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about that?
So at that time, she had a whole team of doctors and she was considered legally blind in both eyes. However, I started to notice when I would feed Harmony that she would track me with one of her eyes, at least one of her eyes. And, then we went on to get different diagnoses for her.
You mentioned having Harmony since she was 2 months old.
Yes.
What was Harmony's date of birth?
6/7/14.
June 7th, 2014.
That's correct.
What kind of child was Harmony Montgomery?
She was a loving child. She was very sweet, very happy. She was super social. She loved to be with people. We used to joke around with her to leave a sparkle wherever she went, because wherever she went, she left people happy and you knew that you met her.
How long was Harmony in your care for?
So which time? We took care of Harmony 3 times. She came back into care 3 times. So for the first time, she was with us for about 2 months. Then she returned to her mother, and then she returned to us. And then she stayed with us for about a little over 2.5 years. And then she went back with her mother and then came back 10 months later.
You mentioned these disabilities.
Yes.
Was Harmony developmentally delayed?
She was not. It definitely could have been a possibility. She started off with that original diagnosis, and through going through testing, she had a neurologist, endocrinologist, ophthalmologist, and we had a whole team of specialists that worked with her, and they changed the diagnosis to septo-optic dysplasia.
And were you taking any steps when she was in your care to treat her needs?
Yeah, absolutely. Harmony had, like I said, a team of doctors, but she also had early intervention workers. So she had two. She had a nurse that came weekly, and she had a vision specialist that came weekly, and we did all the treatments and the programs that she needed with that.
Was she meeting benchmarks at that time?
She was meeting every benchmark. She was succeeding. Yeah.
Ms. Raftery, when was the last time you saw Harmony Montgomery?
The last time I saw Harmony was December of 2018.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
So, Your Honor, I'm showing the witness what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 97. Ms. Raftery, do you recognize this?
I do.
I'm going to get close to a microphone so I'm picked up. What is this?
That's the day that they were doing school pictures, and she wanted to have a sparkly blue dress.
And do you recognize the person that's depicted in this picture?
Yes,
Who is it?
it's Harmony Montgomery.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of Harmony as you remember her?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point I move to admit as State's Exhibit 97.
All right, the ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
And I move to publish at this
You
point.
may
Your Honor.
publish it.
Mrs. Raftery, do you know someone named Adam Montgomery?
I do. Yes,
How do you know him?
he was Harmony's biological father.
Would you recognize the defendant if you saw him again?
Absolutely.
Thank you, V. Slims.
Yes, you may.
Showing the defense what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 101. Can I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Ms. Raftery,
Yes,
do you recognize this item?
yes,
Can you tell me what it is?
it's Adam Montgomery.
And Your Honor, at this point, sorry, is this
It's
a fair
a picture.
is
Yes,
this a fair and accurate representation of Adam Montgomery as you remember him?
yes,
I move to mark as full, Your Honor, to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 101.
Any objection?
No objection, and we agree that that is a photo of the defense.
Okay, thank you. The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
And I move to publish it at this
You
point.
may publish it.
Ms. Raftery,
I'm sorry, Attorney Knowles, would you return the exhibits back to the table when you're done with them, just so that everything remains there unless you're going to use it shortly
Absolutely.
again? Thank you.
Ms. Raftery, was Harmony potty trained when she was in your care?
yes, she was. She started at our house, and then she finished when she moved back with her mother.
And how old would she have been at that point in her life?
So at 2.5, going on 3, she was potty trained.
What steps did you take you said she started at your house. What
Yeah.
steps did you take to potty train her?
Harmony was very easy to potty train. She didn't like to have, soiled clothes on, and she wanted to be like the bigger kids that were in our house. So she would tell us that it was pretty much Harmony potty trained herself.
You mentioned her mother. Do you know
Yes.
her name?
Yes,
Can you tell the jurors?
yes, it's Crystal Sorey.
And you said that Crystal Sorey finished her potty training.
Yes,
Did Harmony return to your care after that?
she did. Yes,
And after Harmony returned to your care, did she have any bathroom accidents?
absolutely not.
If I could have just a moment, Your Honor. Mr. Raftery, I don't have any additional questions for you. The defense attorney may.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I know this is difficult and I won't be long, okay?
I'm sorry, we need to get you a microphone, and we'll figure out the other podium if you want to do that, but we might as well set it up.
I'll just take it over for now. I only have a few.
Yeah, that's fine, if you want to start there.
I've been pronouncing your name all this time wrong. Raftery?
It's Raftery, yes.
And quite a birthday that you have too.
That's right.
Yeah. So you said that you had Harmony placed with you 3 times.
Yes,
In between, she was with her mother,
yes,
and then she would be returned to you.
yes.
And how long was the most recent time that, how long was she with you the last time she was placed with you?
About 10 months.
Okay. And from being placed with you for about 10 months, she went to another foster care?
Yes,
And you felt like she had more needs than you could deliver, so she went to a therapeutic foster care.
no,
Miss Kumba? That's not?
I don't know that other foster parent.
Ah, okay. So she didn't go to therapeutic foster
She
care?
went to another foster home,
Okay. Not a therapeutic one?
not that I know of.
Okay. Had you asked that she be placed in a therapeutic foster home?
No,
Okay. She left your home for another foster home for what reason?
it's a long story. Co-parenting a child that has trauma, first of all, is very difficult. Co-parenting a trauma with DCF involvement and co-parenting with them is extremely difficult.
Okay. So Harmony was placed with you 3 times, and that last time she was then placed to a therapeutic foster home.
She was placed in another foster home, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I
Yep.
did speak. She went to another foster home.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, no further questions for this witness. I ask that she be excused.
Any objection? All right, you may step down and
Thank
you are
you.
excused.
There you go, Mr. Raftery.
Well, they are on a pause there. The Indiana Supreme Court just released February 8th, decided its opinion by Justice Mulder in a Richard Allen case. So the Supreme Court just literally had off the press. If you take a bubble bath tonight, you can have some light reading, 21 pages. I'll go over this tonight at about 10 p.m. Those of you guys that want to hear it. The Indiana Supreme Court opinion here. I think I'll do that, Jess. So, Carrie says, that's a long time to wait. Like literally, this is 20 minutes old. It just hit the hot press. Is this the second one?
That's mine, probably.
Oh, okay.
I did two because you want one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, they said that she wasn't biased. They said that nothing is impartial right now. So I know. I'm passing the yawning.
It's out of paper.
Oh, it is? I got it all in order. It's right here. Oh, I can't stop yawning. I gotta go down to
All right, statement calls next witness.
State would like to call Ms. Crystal Sorey to the stand. Sorry, when you get here, if you could just remain standing for a brief moment.
Sure.
If you would please go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to this jury that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you, Ms. Sorey. Please feel free to have a seat. Ms. Sorey, since we're being recorded here today, and there's a microphone right in front of you, so I will ask you to please keep your voice up to make sure that the recording picks you up. Would you please state your full name and spell both your first and your last name?
My name is Crystal Renee Sorey, CrystalSorey.
And Miss Sorey, what town do you live in?
I live in Fitchburg, Massachusetts.
How long have you lived there?
A year and 5 months.
And how far did you go in school?
I didn't graduate high school.
I'd like to ask you about a specific day, June 7th, 2014. What significance, if any, does that day have for you?
It was the day my daughter Harmony was born.
And Harmony was a girl, correct?
Yes.
Have you had any other daughters besides Harmony?
No.
And what was her full name?
Harmony Renee Montgomery.
Same middle name as you.
Yes.
What was her medical condition when she was born?
She was blind in her right eye. She was misdiagnosed twice before that. Yeah, just blind in her right eye.
And after about 3 months after she was born, who did she go to live with?
Michelle Raftery.
And do you know Michelle?
Very well.
Why did she go to live with Michelle?
I am a recovering drug addict. I was struggling at the time, handling her diagnosis. I was struggling.
Is it fair to say that who you are now in 2024 is different than who you were in 2014?
Very.
In March of 2016, were you able to obtain custody of Harmony again?
Yes.
Okay. Where did the two of you live?
First, when she reunified, I was at Casa Esperanza in Roxbury. It was a reunification program, but you could only progress so much there. So then we moved to Ruth Kelly Umi's house on the other side of Roxbury, Dorchester.
Okay. When the two of you were living together, how was Harmony?
Amazing, rambunctious, very smart. By the time she was 2, she could tell you her whole life story.
She was talkative.
Yes. People didn't believe she was 2.
When you got custody and were reunified with Harmony in those two places, did you work and finish potty training with Harmony?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
And how did she take to that?
She did very well, honestly. I was kind of surprised. She was just really excited to be a big sister. Her brother had diapers, and I told her, babies wear diapers, and you're not a baby anymore. You're a big sissy. So she was right on it, and she did so well.
In September and then October, I know you were reunified in March of 2016. In September and October of 2018, did she go to live again with Michelle Raftery?
Yes.
And when she left then, that would be the fall of 2018. How old was she?
2018. 3, I believe 3, almost 4.
Yeah, basis.
It's leading in with, I think, the dates.
Your Honor, I believe the question was, how old was she in the fall of 2018?
Objections overruled.
Thank you. So she was born in 2014, is that correct?
She was 4, yes.
Okay, so she was 4 in 18.
Yes.
And was she fully potty trained when she left you?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, who was Harmony's birth father?
Adam Montgomery.
And how did you meet him?
Through a mutual friend.
Was he living with you when Harmony was born?
No.
Were the two of you living together when Harmony went to live with the Rafterys?
Never.
Did you ever have any other children with Adam Montgomery?
No.
At some point in 2019, who got custody of Harmony?
Adam,
Where was Adam living at the time?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Do you remember what street he was living on?
Guilford Street.
And is that where Harmony was as well?
Yes.
What, if any, visits did you have with Harmony after she went to live with Adam Montgomery?
I had 2 physical visits with her. And then I had 2 FaceTime calls, both very brief.
The physical visits, where did you visit her?
Excuse me. Guilford Street.
Did you visit with her outside the home or inside the home? Or
Inside the home.
inside the home. Did you see where her room was?
No. He never showed me.
When you say he, who is he?
Adam never showed me. I was only allowed in the living room or the bathroom.
How did you communicate with Adam at that time?
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah. He wouldn't give me his number.
When did you last see Harmony?
April
April of
2019.
April of 2019.
Yeah, right before Easter.
How did you see her?
Oh, I was doing a Facebook video call. That was how I had job training. So I couldn't do a physical visit that week because I didn't know my schedule.
You said that was before Easter, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you see her on Easter?
Yes.
Were you able to see her after that?
No.
What did you try to do to be able to see her or talk to her after that?
I just kept reaching out to Adam and Kayla and, asking, begging them to let me see her. And I was sorry for whatever I did. I wasn't even sure what I did. But I was just trying to reach out to really anybody at that point, his family, his grandmother, his uncle, his dad, anybody.
Let me ask, did you try to reach out through the months of May and June?
Yes,
What about in July?
I believe so.
Did you receive any phone call from Kevin Montgomery, Adam's uncle, in July?
Yes.
I'm not going to go into the detail of what was said, but after that call, did you continue these efforts you talked about before, trying to get in touch with Adam?
Yes.
And what about September of 2019?
Because
Were you
that's
trying to get
hearsay.
in touch with Adam then?
Yes.
What about October and November of 2019? Were you trying to get in touch with Adam then?
Yes.
Christmas of 2019?
Yes.
Get in touch with him then?
Yes.
Were any of those successful?
No.
Did you see or hear from Harmony at all during that time period?
No.
What about in the year 2020? Did you continue to try to find and get in touch with Harmony or Adam?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No problem. What about the following year, in the year 2020? Did you try to get a hold of Adam and Harmony?
Yes, I had made a new Facebook hoping, because he had blocked me and so did Kayla, I was hoping to get through to him that way.
Did you try also through 2021?
Yes.
By December of 2021, what else were you doing to try to find Harmony
I was
to respond?
Calling DCF. I was, telling my therapist, talking to anybody that I knew was either a mandated reporter or had some type of leverage because I wasn't getting anywhere. I had wrote also to the mayor.
And in December of 2021, did you have any meetings with the Manchester Police Department?
I'm sorry.
Yep. In December of 2021, Did you meet with the Manchester Police Department about trying to find Harmony?
Yes.
And with regards to that, did you provide them with any permissions to try to get more information to help find Harmony?
I signed whatever they needed me to sign.
Did any of that include medical authorizations for medical records?
Yes.
Did you provide a DNA swab for them?
Twice.
Did you provide permission for them to look at your Facebook account?
Yes.
Did you provide permission for them to find out where you had been living and contact those places to confirm your dates there?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 101.
For identification?
Your Honor, I believe we made this.
I'm sorry, that's full exhibit. Thank you.
Do you recognize this person?
Yes. Adam Montgomery.
This is the person that you were trying to get a hold of.
Yes.
Show now State's Exhibit 97. What's this?
That's my girl. That's Harmony.
In fall of 2018, when she came back from Raftery, do you know that she was going to school, taking classes?
When she was with Michelle, she was, but not after.
Not after.
No.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
When she went with Adam, she never went to school.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, if we could have. Ms. Sorey, I just have one last question for you. With regards to all of those communications that you talked about through 2019, 2020, 2021, trying to get a hold of Adam Montgomery or Harmony, for any of those, were you ever able to speak with Harmony?
No.
I can have just a moment. And just to clarify, Ms. Sorey, the last time that you saw her, I believe your testimony before was April of 2019.
Yes.
So it was not around Thanksgiving time of 2019.
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions for you, Ms. Sorey. I believe defense counsel will have a few.
You just use the podium if you want.
Thank you. I'll pull it out after this. I'll pull it out after this because I only have a couple of questions. And it sounds like Harmony was a lovely child and a joy. Is that right?
Yes.
And you described on direct her getting potty trained and you comparing her to her brother,
Yeah.
your son.
Yes.
And I think she loved being a big sister to her brother, your son.
Yes.
Right. And you described how old Harmony was in September of 2018, I think. Harmony was not living with you at that time. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Right. You may sit down. Just be very careful of the water. Okay.
Crystal was like, "Get me off this stand." Bless you, girl. Bless you.
Call your next witness.
I think I just saw her parents walk behind her. So just a couple questions there on the cross-examination of Crystal. Crystal, again, hitting on some key points for me, which would be the potty training. Montgomery Harmony had to grow up fast. Usually to get people's attention as a little kid, you got to start talking a lot earlier. But potty trained at 2. Keep that in your minds.
Hold on.
That they wish to speak with you about this.
The state will be calling their third witness. Again, good morning, late morning, early afternoon for all of you guys joining. They're having a sidebar, so the state's third witness is on its way up to the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls DD Travers to the stand. Good morning, Ms. Travers. Thank you so much. If you could please remain standing for a brief moment and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please feel free to have a seat. Ms. Travers, let me just ask you, since we're being recorded here today, would you please state your full name and spell both your first name or the initials you go by and your last name for the record?
Sure. My first name is DD, just spelled as DD. Last name is Travers, TRAV as in Victor, ERS.
And Ms. Travers, do you live in the state of New Hampshire?
Yes, I do.
How long have you lived here?
Approximately 20 years.
20 years. And currently, where do you work?
I work for a Catholic Medical Center in Manchester.
What do you do for them?
Currently, I work as a nurse practitioner.
And how long have you been working as a nurse practitioner for them?
I've been working about 5 years as a nurse practitioner.
And prior to that, were you also working for CMC in a different capacity?
Yes, I was working as a registered nurse.
Let me ask you, at any point were you assigned to work at the affiliate for Catholic Medical Center, the urgent care in Bedford?
Yes,
And I'd like to direct your attention specifically to June 2nd of 2019. Did you take vital signs from a child named Harmony Montgomery that day?
yes,
And as part of those vital signs, did you measure and record her weight?
yes.
How much did Harmony Montgomery, the patient that you saw that day, weigh when you saw her on June 2nd of 2019?
I don't recall the actual number.
Let me ask, with regards to those, when you measured her weight, did you record that information somewhere?
I would record it in the electronic health records.
Okay. And with regards to the electronic health records, when do you record that? So,
Generally, it's done in the room with the patient.
so right then and there, while you're with the patient, you're recording that?
Yeah,
Okay. And if you had a chance to look at those records, do you think that looking at those records might help refresh your recollection as to what the weight was that you took on that day?
if I could look again, I could remember the number. Yeah, that'd be great.
You want to approach page 4822? Do you recognize that to include the medical records that you entered that day?
Yep, it has my name right there.
Okay.
And
And I'm about to say, I'm going to have you go ahead and take a look at it for a moment. And when you're ready, just look back at me. I'm going to ask you what her weight was.
okay,
And does that, looking at that, does that help refresh your recollection of the weight?
yes,
And how much did Harmony Montgomery weigh in June of 2019 when you measured her?
35.20.
35.20. And are those grams, those pounds? The
I'm sorry, I didn't
35.20.
look at that. I apologize.
That's all right. I'm sorry. The 35.20, is that pounds? 35 pounds? Or 35.20 pounds, I should say.
I didn't actually see that it said pounds on there, but
Okay. Let me ask, do you typically, when you do your measurements, are they in pounds or are they in kilograms?
they're usually in kilograms.
Usually in kilograms?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure that your memory is fresh. So with regards to the record, do you recall off the top of your head whether it was 35.2 kilograms or 35.2 pounds?
I don't recall.
Okay. And having a chance to look at the vital signs again, do you think that might refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Same page? And let's say, does that help? I see you nodding your head up and down. Does that help refresh?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
so that 35.2 are those pounds or kilograms?
Pounds.
35.2 pounds. All right, thank you very much, Nurse Travers. I greatly appreciate it. I don't have any further questions for you. I believe Defense Counsel may have a few.
And I think Harmony's weight was appropriate for her size and age.
Foundation.
Again, they're having a sidebar over here about if this. She just asked, "Is that seem appropriate? 35 pounds, height and weight." And then they just objected and said foundation. Curious to see where this was going with that objection. And again, I'm curious on that date. I have it as June of 2019. So it could also be a citing to say that here's a person that had seen her. So June of 2019, being alive. We'll see if they touch back on that date here. Also, I believe at 5 years old, you have your 5-year-old appointment. So if she did see her in June, that would be around her birthday. So at 5, I believe you have your 5-year checkup. So I bet that a nurse practitioner would qualify as an expert that saw her to say if that is average. Did she make any notations about being concerned is all I would ask. Did you make any notations about being concerned about the child when you saw the child in terms of her height, or rather her weight? We can't control how tall we are. If you get it, you get it. Let's check it out.
Just a couple of more questions. Did you stay in the room until the doctor came in to look at Harmony?
No.
Okay, so you just pretty much take that information and give it to the doctor for the doctor to do the examination?
That's correct.
Okay, and you don't know the results of the examination, is that right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any objections or being excused?
May I ask one more question, Your Honor?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. But one of the observations that you did make was the sores around her mouth?
That's what I wrote in the report, yes.
Okay, and that was a rash or sores around her mouth that she was present for, right?
Yeah, that's what I wrote in the report, yeah.
Thank you.
Any objections or being, do you have any follow-up questions from that?
We could just have a brief.
Yes.
No questions, and we would ask the witness to be excused, please.
Any objections or being? No objection. All right, you may step down and you are excused.
Thank you.
State may call its next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Mr. Kevin Montgomery to the stand. Watch your step, there's a couple of cords there.
You'll remain standing for just a moment.
Thank you. Mr. Montgomery, if you would please go ahead and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony that you will give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please feel free to have a seat. Mr. Montgomery, as we are being recorded here for the record, could you please go ahead? And I'm going to ask you to please go ahead and state your name, both your first and your last name.
Sir, hang on one second. Could you carefully open that? Otherwise it sort of comes, if the top can open. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you would please go ahead and state your full name and spell out both your first and your last name for the record.
Kevin Lester Montgomery, Kevin Montgomery,
And Mr. Montgomery, what town are you living in now?
Malden, Mass.
How long have you lived down there?
I've been back in the area since June
June of this year?
last year,
June of last year.
23.
Of course, sorry. And are you currently working?
I am.
What do you do for work?
I am a plumber.
And how far did you go in school?
10th grade.
How long have you been a plumber?
Roughly 3.5 years ish.
What are some of the other kind of jobs that you had before being a plumber?
Landscaping. I was in the drywall, union, roofing,
Okay.
stuff like that.
I'd like to ask, in 2019, where were you living at the first part of 2019?
2019, first part of 2019, I was living in Manchester,
And what was the street address that you were living at?
77 Guilford Street.
Who owned that home?
Excuse me?
Who owned that home? Sorry.
My mom and my ex.
And who else lived there? Let me ask, let's say in February or March of 2019, who else lived there?
So it was me, my nephew, his wife, and their kids.
And who's your nephew, sir?
Adam Montgomery,
And who was his wife at the time?
Kayla Montgomery.
I'm going to go ahead and show you State's Exhibits 1 and 2. Just see if, let's just talk about State's Exhibit 1 for a moment. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 1?
I do.
Okay. And what is that a photograph of?
The front of the house,
Which house?
77 Guilford Street.
And what about, and with regards to that photo, did the house look that way when you were living there in 2019? And by that, I just mean where the windows are, the door is, the color.
Yes.
Okay. And now I would like to show you State's Exhibit 2 for identification purposes only. Do you recognize what that is a photo of?
I do.
What's that a photo of?
That was Harmony's room.
Where was her room, inside this house or somewhere else? Did she live with you?
Yeah, her room was across from my room inside that house.
Other than the stickers that are at the bottom here, and the photograph itself of the room and the home, are these accurate to your memory of what that room used to look like and what this home used to look like generally when you were there?
Yes.
At this point, Your Honor, I'd ask for the identifications to be stricken from State's Exhibit 1 and 2, please.
Without objection. I'm sorry. No, without objection. Okay, the ID is stricken. They're entered as full exhibits.
So, Mr. Montgomery, go ahead. Commissioner Officer.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. With regards to State's Exhibit 1, this is 77 Guilford Street? Is that correct?
Yes.
And let me ask you, how many bedrooms were in the home? How big a house are we talking about?
Living room on the first floor, 2 bedrooms in the back, and then like an attic that was like made over upstairs.
When you say made over upstairs, was that also used as a bedroom?
Correct.
And now showing State's Exhibit 2. I believe you said before, I want to make sure I got your testimony right, that this was Harmony's room. Is that right?
Yes.
The stickers on the wall, do you know what that's a sticker of?
Yes, that was Minnie Mouse.
Montgomery, excuse me. In 2019, you said, I believe before that you said that your nephew, Adam Montgomery, was living with you. Is that correct?
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, certainly. And let me move closer to the microphone. In 2019, I believe you testified a moment ago that you said Adam Montgomery was living with you and he's your nephew. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so nephew in terms of, so who's his father? And I would assume his father or mother is a brother or sister to you.
So his dad's my older brother, Michael.
And with regards to Adam, how long have you known Adam?
His whole life.
Were you subpoenaed to be here today to testify?
I was.
And let me ask you, do you want to be here today testifying about your nephew?
No.
When Adam came to live with you at Guilford Street, I believe you said before that he had kids with him and that he had his wife. Could you tell us what her name is?
Adam's wife?
Yes.
Kayla Montgomery.
And the kids that moved in with him there in 2019, who were they? Do you remember their names, I should say?
I do. Could you say that question again, please?
Certainly. So when Adam and Kayla came to live with you, you said that there were kids in the home before. What were their names?
So when Adam and Kayla came in, who came with them?
Yes, exactly.
At first it was just Seamus.
Okay. And who is Seamus?
Seamus is their son.
Okay. Who came to live with you next after that? Which child came next?
I believe 2019. So I believe a baby was born somewhere, and then Harmony.
And then Harmony. So Harmony was the last child to move in?
I believe so.
Okay. We looked at a picture of Harmony's room. Where was that room in the house? Was it upstairs? Was it downstairs?
So it was downstairs at the end of the hallway on the right,
Okay. And where was your room in the home?
right across the hall.
Where did you see Harmony spend most of her time when she was in the house?
Permission to approach, Judge.
This whole case is nothing but sidebars. Jeez. Yes, exactly, War Eagle. Every objection has a sidebar. I wish they would just do sidebars out loud, like in Jennifer's case, right? Yeah.
So, Mr. Montgomery, let me just restate that question for you. So the question that I had for you is that when you saw Harmony, primarily what parts of the house did you see her in? Where did she spend most of her time that you saw?
Just everywhere.
Just everywhere.
Kitchen,
Okay.
living room, just everywhere.
In July of 2019, did you stay in New Hampshire or did you go to any other state?
I lived in New Hampshire,
Mhm.
and then I went for roughly 3 weeks to Florida.
Okay. And let me ask you about that trip to Florida. Did any other family members go with you on that trip?
My son.
Your son? Okay. And when you were in Florida, did you visit any family members?
I did all my family.
Okay. Let me ask you, sir, when you were down in Florida visiting family, tell us some of the different family members that lived down there that you saw.
So the trip was primarily to go see my mom because my mom had some health issues. But I have several brothers. I saw them, nephews, sister, the whole family.
And I know testifying can be very difficult. So if you need a break or anything, you just let us know and let the court know. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You said that you were seeing your mother and she had some health issues. What health issues did she have?
So I believe that April she had triple bypass heart surgery, and that's what the trip was based around. Was going to see her.
And did you spend a lot of time with her during that July trip?
I did.
Okay. When you came back, do you remember what day you flew back into town?
Roughly the 22nd or the 23rd of July.
Okay. And I apologize. I made an assumption there, and I shouldn't do that. How did you come back to New Hampshire? Did you fly? Did you drive? Did you take a train?
We flew, James and myself.
And when you flew back, and who's James?
James is my son.
Okay. So when you flew back into town, did you fly into Manchester or into Boston or somewhere else?
Boston Logan.
Okay. Did you come back to Manchester that same day after you got off the flight?
I did.
And did you go to visit 77 Guilford Street? Did you go home?
I did.
Let me ask you, when you got home, did you see Harmony there?
I did.
Where did you see her?
I seen her standing in the kitchen.
And when you saw her in the kitchen, how did she look to you?
She had a black eye.
Can you describe it for us? How did the black eye look?
Full, like a raccoon's eye, black and blue.
Black and blue?
Yes,
And when you say full, what do you mean by full? Can you give us a good
all the
example?
way around.
All the way around. And I see just there you were pointing to your right eye. Did you see it on her right eye?
I honestly can't recall, but I think the left.
Okay. You think the left. Okay. I appreciate that for your honesty there. You said you saw her in the kitchen with this black eye?
Yes,
Okay. So when you saw her in the kitchen with this black eye, what, if anything, did you say? It's okay. Take your time.
something along the words of, "Oh my fucking God, what did you do, Harmony?"
And who answered that question?
My nephew Adam,
Where was he?
standing right behind her.
And what did Adam say?
She didn't do anything. I bashed her around the fucking house.
Did Harmony ever say anything in response to the question, or just Adam saying, I bashed her around the fucking house?
I think just Adam.
How did Adam say this?
How did he say it?
Yes. Or let's put it this way. Can you say it the way that he said it so that we understand?
I'm not sure. If I had to describe it to the best of my ability, it would be like a cocky son of a bitch.
Did Adam tell you why he bashed her around the house and caused the black eye?
He did.
What did he say?
He said he was in the bathroom moving his bowels, and that he put Harmony in charge to watch Declan. And when he came out, Harmony had her hands over his mouth and I guess his lips were supposedly blue. That's what was explained.
That's what Adam explained to you.
Correct.
And after he explained that, how did he say he caused the black eye?
I bashed her around the fucking house.
Was there anybody else in the kitchen when Adam said this to you?
Just the three of us.
Just you, Adam, and Harmony.
Harmony.
Let me ask you, did you stay at your house that night?
I did.
What about the night after that?
I left the following morning.
Did you ever stay in the house after that? Overnight?
I did not.
When you heard this from Adam, who did you tell about what Adam told you and seeing the black eye? Who did you tell?
You want names?
Yes, please.
Told my mom. Told my son's mother, Christina. Told my sister, Erin. My brothers, Sean, Michael, and Richard. I told one of Adam's friends, Nick and Aaron. I told Harmony's mom, Crystal. I told Harmony's foster mom, Michelle. I think I told my sister, Janine, my mother, Helen. That's kind of what I remember. Could you just repeat the question again?
That's all right. I believe you answered the question.
Okay.
Let me ask, did you also make any calls to the what's called DCYF, or the Division of Children, Youth, and Families?
I did.
And the Nicholas and the Aaron that you referred to, is that Nicholas the same person as Nicholas Ahern?
Yes.
And is that Aaron the same person as Aaron Rue?
Yes.
Why did you tell all these people? Why did you call DCYF about this?
Say that again?
Yes. Why did you tell all of these people?
To get help.
Help for who?
For Harmony.
Did you ever see Harmony after that day?
I did.
When did you see her? And by when, I mean what time of year?
What time of year?
Yes.
Maybe approach router.
Yes.
Right, again, they're doing another sidebar. I wanted to go ahead and thank Amy. She said she's not getting notifications. The best thing I can say is to unsubscribe, then resubscribe. And when you resubscribe, hit notifications all. Thank you there, Janine. I just have one thing to say is, why didn't this man, Kevin, knock the fuck out of his nephew, cocky son of a bitch, Adam? Why aren't these boys throwing down like old school Boston style? So I mean, what is with men, boys putting their hands on females? We have to, I mean, females, period. And then you talk about like little kids. It's disgusting. But this man told everybody. Everybody knew. Everybody. He witnessed this. He told everybody, and he was trying to get help for Harmony.
Mr. Montgomery, did you, and let me change my questions a little bit for a minute here. Did you see Harmony again in September of 2019?
I believe so.
Okay. And let me ask, on when you did see her, was it at 77 Guilford Street?
Yes.
And was that before Adam was evicted from the home?
Yes.
Did you see Harmony after they were evicted from the home?
No.
Mr. Montgomery, I'm going to go ahead and show you State's Exhibit 101. Do you recognize this person?
Yes.
Okay. And who is this?
That's my nephew, Adam Montgomery.
After Adam told you about causing Harmony's black eye,
Did you have any further conversations with him about that incident?
I did.
And what did he say to you in that later conversation about this black eye incident?
What did he say to me in the later conversation about the black eye?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure what you exactly mean.
I'm about to say, let me back up and I'll clarify. Attorneys need to ask very clear questions. So you've described for this jury about seeing Harmony's black eye and Adam telling you that he bashed her all around the fucking house. Did you talk with Adam about that black eye at a different time, at a later time?
I did.
And at that later time, what did he say about having bashed Harmony around the house?
Can I explain?
So if we could approach for a minute, Your Honor.
Again, I think they're taking a sidebar here because this explanation, I think that they've heard it before, and they need to make. They're probably clearing the way to explain to the judge what's about to take place. This explanation, I think, is going to be explosive. This explanation is going to be very descriptive, and that's why I think that they went ahead and sidebarred. But I don't know. Clearly, this is very difficult for this man to talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. We just needed a minute to talk there. What I'd like to do is I'd like to ask I apologize. Let me ask a very clear question about this second conversation. When you were later speaking with Adam about this black eye incident, did he apologize to you for having hit Harmony?
Just yes or no, right?
With regards to the question, yes. Did he apologize to you? Did he say he was sorry for having hit Harmony?
Yes.
He did. Going into the fall of 2019 after the eviction, and then going into 2020, did you try to get in touch with Adam, with defendant?
Give me the time frame again.
Yes. After the eviction, so in the fall of 2019, and going into the next January, February of 2020, and then going into the summer of 2020, did you try to get a hold of Adam?
I did.
Okay. And were you able to do so?
I got a hold of somebody on Facebook.
Okay. But what about Adam?
It's hard to remember.
Well, if I can withdraw that question, Your Honor, I'll ask a different question. With regards to that, you said you got a hold of somebody on Facebook. Were you able to go into a conversation on Facebook, or were you ever blocked on Facebook?
Summer of 2020, correct?
Yep, fall of 2019 into the summer of 2020.
Right. The pandemic happened in 2020, right?
Yes, sir.
Like March, right? So that's like my first summer in Florida. Yes, I got I believe I got in touch with someone on Kayla's account through Facebook Messenger that summer.
What about with one of Adam's accounts?
No, I think I was blocked.
All right, so Mr. Montgomery, I just have one other quick set of questions for you. And thank you for being patient with me today while I made sure that I was asking the correct questions of you. With regards to what you've talked about for us, one thing, and I'm sure you may be asked about this in a moment, so I'd like to save people some time now. Have you been convicted of 2 felonies out of this court within the last 10 years?
Yes.
And was one of those a conviction in 2015 for being a felon in possession of a weapon?
Yes.
And was one of those a conviction in 2016 for a theft by unauthorized taking?
Yes.
Okay. And from those, have you completed your sentence that was there, and those are all finished now at this point?
So stealing.
Lastly, Mr. Montgomery, to show you State's Exhibit 97.
Again, stealing not a violent offense. People that have drug abuse issues tend to steal for their drugs.
Harmony.
I believe you said your recollection was that it may have been Harmony's left eye that you saw blackened.
I believe so.
Thank you. I have no further questions for you, Mr. Montgomery. Thank you very much for your time. I believe defense counsel may have a few after we speak to the board.
Council.
Yeah, they're skating around something here with the prosecution, with this witness. They're skating around a bunch. It's very interesting because he wanted to explain some stuff. It looks like he didn't get that opportunity. Maybe they're going to save it for redirect. So we'll see what happens here.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Right now, yes.
Let me know if you can. My name is Jamie Brooks, and I represent Adam, okay? I'll also ask you some questions, but I'll try to be fairly quick. You indicated that you returned to the Guilford Street address on the 22nd of July, 2019.
I believe I said the 22nd or the 23rd.
One or the other. Could have been the 22nd, could have been the 23rd.
Excuse me?
So it would be either the 22nd or the 23rd of July that you were there,
Correct.
and you ended up having a conversation with Adam. Correct?
Yes.
And this conversation included Adam, yourself, and Harmony in the kitchen, right?
Say that again?
The conversation took place in the kitchen.
Correct.
Harmony was there, right?
Yes.
You were there.
Yes.
Adam was there.
Correct. Yes.
Nobody else to your recollection was there.
No.
No other adult was within earshot of this conversation as far as you knew?
No.
And the conversation was prompted because you saw a black eye on Harmony.
Correct.
You indicated that Adam said that she didn't do anything.
Correct.
In response to your question of, oh my God, what happened? He said,
Oh my
Harmony didn't
God,
do
what the
anything?
fuck did you do? I think I said.
Okay. And as part of this conversation, Adam talked about finding Harmony, suffocating Declan.
Hands over the mouth, I stated.
And with the hands over the mouth, Declan was turning blue.
Lips were blue,
Lips
is
were
what
blue.
I recollect.
5 months old at the time.
Declan, roughly something like that, yeah.
You said that he made a comment and sounded cocky.
Yes.
Also could have been sarcasm.
Not in my opinion, if that's what you're asking.
But he did express concern regarding Declan and the blue lips.
Yes.
You later made a report to DCYF.
Yes.
That report was approximately a week later.
Correct.
Would July 29th of 2022, I'm sorry, July 29 of 2019, would that sound correct to you?
Roughly about a weekish later, 7-8 days or something. Is that what? Yeah, approximate, I guess. It's going back a while.
Roughly 7 to 8 days, and this was after you had returned to Florida?
After I was back in
I'm sorry,
New
back-
Hampshire, right? Is that what you're asking? After I came home?
Right. But
Yes.
you didn't go back to you didn't stay at the house except for that one night. Did you go back to Florida or did you go back to Massachusetts?
No, I went to Massachusetts.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. I don't have anything further.
Just briefly, please, Your Honor. Mr. Montgomery, about that. You just asked a moment ago whether, I believe you were asked a moment ago with regards to Adam. You were asked a moment by Attorney Brooks about him sounding cocky and whether that might also be some sort of sarcasm. When when he said, I bashed her all around the fucking house, did that sound like sarcasm to you?
No,
And when you asked Harmony, oh my God, what the fuck happened to you? Were you asking about her eye?
I did. I was.
At any point, did the defendant tell you that he had just jerked her away from Declan?
No.
And at any point when you were asked a moment ago on cross-examination about Declan's lips being blue, I want to make sure that's clear. That's not something that you saw, right? That's what the defendant told you had happened.
Yes, correct. That's what I was told.
From the defendant, that's what he says.
Correct.
Let me ask one last question with regards to your understanding when Adam said that he bashed him all around the fucking house. Do you feel that you have somehow conflated what Adam had said?
Conflated. Could you explain, please?
Confused one action for another? Do you think that Adam, when he
Say
said
that-
about, yes.
State it again,
So let me
please.
restate that. With regards to confusing one issue for another or conflated what Adam had said, with regards to that, do you feel that you may have been mistaken that when he said that he bashed her all around the fucking house with regards to the black eye, that he was actually talking about just jerking her away from Declan?
I wasn't confused.
Thank you. No further questions.
Nothing further.
All right, you may step down.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is just a little past 12:30, so this is a perfect time to break for lunch. I will remind you that you are not to discuss this case, not with each other or with anybody else. While I've indicated to you that you can check your phones on a break or during lunch, you cannot read any media. Make sure all your banners or notifications are turned off. You are not to view any media related to this case. Don't do any independent research.
Are
turned off. You are not.
We are going to be
case,
at a lunch
and I'll
recess
have you
here.
come back
That
at
is what's
1:30,
happening.
and we will resume evidence at that time. Please rise for the jurors, everyone.
And with that lunch break, we're going to end this live feed. Again, I want to say thank you so much for being here for the morning session. V Slims, thank you so much. Amy, yeah, go ahead and do that notification thing, like clock out, come back in. Hopefully that will help you get notifications. YouTube can be wonky like that.
With the
My girl from
understanding that
Seattle
the community
area,
body that
thank you for that super
uses this
sticker.
is not going to be called now or later.
Nancy, you are so right. This is beyond heartbreaking. And it's hard. It's hard as a parent. I got a lot of viewers that are parents. It's so
That is what I
difficult
mean by excuse. So
to
if we have a-
watch
if
this,
we
hear
have-
this.
if we don't all agree that
Jen,
that's
thank
what
you.
excuse means,
Thank
then
you for
we
being
should
here while I
maybe
cover it.
revisit
Again,
that,
yep, I can't agree more. It is heartbreaking.
after the lunch break, or so, that
So I
everybody
could
can
leave
take a
this
look at
thread
it.
up and come back to it,
Did we need to
or
address
I can just start a new thread. What do you guys prefer over here at TNT? You guys call the shots there.
With regards to Michelle Raftery, excuse me. But other than that, no defense counsel.
You mean Michelle Raftery?
Michelle Raftery, I apologize. I think other than that, Your Honor, the other things can certainly wait until after the break. There's nothing right now that we.
Okay, I just don't want to, I guess I want to know what we're going to talk about so that we can make sure we're starting on time with them. So if we want to have some legal arguments about something, let's talk about what that will be, and then I can tell you when you should come back so that we can do that rather than holding them.
If we can just have a look.
Sure.
that we should probably need to come back and discuss. One is with regards to Michelle Raftery's ability to sit in on the rest of the trial. The state feels that she is entitled to do that under the Victims' Bill of Rights, specifically RSA 21-M:(K-8). She is considered to be a family member, and so as a result, she has that right to do that, even though she has been a witness. And even though she may be a witness, depending on what the defendant puts forward in their case, and if they choose to present one, if he chooses to present one. So I would say that's issue number one that we would have to discuss. Issue number two is, at this point, based upon the defendant's representations regarding Anthony Badero and his behavior as alleged, Mr. Badero, I believe, already has counsel for a different matter, but we should probably set some time aside to have a very quick Richards hearing, because we do anticipate that Mr. Badero is going to be called as a witness in this case.
Do you have any sense of when you might call him? I mean,
Not this week, Your Honor, I can say that, certainly not tomorrow. So I believe it would not be until next week. With regards to his specific time, I would anticipate the early part of next week, Your Honor.
Okay, so I think we will reach out to his counsel and see about some availability, maybe either towards the end of the day or early in the morning, either later this week is tomorrow, so, or early next week. But that counsel is going to need some information about.
I believe she has a lot of information already.
But does she know about what this is?
Yes, Your Honor. So he is currently represented, he's not currently represented on this matter, but he is currently represented by Attorney Ashley Sheehan.
Yes.
And so as a result, before we went to be able to subpoena him and to be able to speak with him as part of the witness prep, we informed her. And so with that, I know that she is up to speed with regards to the issues that they here. Not
But
necessarily
the issue
this
that,
issue.
well, okay, but that's the
That we
issue.
have to get
So I
up to
think,
speed.
so why don't we do this then? Rather than have the court contact her, the clerk's office, why don't I suggest, you tell me if you disagree with this, why don't I suggest that the state contact her to get to, the defense and the state can talk about what the issue is so that she's apprised. Find out her availability. She's going to need to be in touch with the witness, and then everybody would be here. We could do it before court on one, at 8:30 on one of the mornings.
I tell you, I think she'll be able to do that in short order. It's our understanding that she was intending to be in the courtroom when he was testifying anyway.
Okay.
This particular matter, so we should be able to get that in short order.
Okay, so the sooner you can let us know, we can all, talk about the scheduling of this. And then we'll either do it before we start at 9. One of the Fridays I know is it this Friday? Tomorrow? All right, well, during the break, I'm going to take a look. I know I have a short docket tomorrow morning at 9, so we won't start this at 9. I'll see if we can start at 9:30, but it might be 10. So maybe seeing about Monday morning. I don't know what you all think about that.
Certainly.
If not then.
We can move this testimony to a little bit later if we had to.
Okay. Okay.
The last issue, I'm going to go ahead and let Attorney Knowles address, considering that specifically that Dimitrios Tsaros is going to be one of the state's witnesses who's going to be called today, and it's with regards to statements that defense counsel made in
Your Honor, I will say that the state, in listing witnesses that were going to be called today, did not mention Mr. Tsaros.
Make sure he's right on the slip. I gave you guys that sticky.
He was.
it down. Yeah, I know. Huh?
I know.
Okay.
He was not, but we will figure out a way to deal.
All right, well, he had looked for the paper but either way, it sounds like we're going to be able to continue the testimony. So what is the issue that you wanted to raise? And is this as to this afternoon's witness?
It is. Your,
Okay, go ahead.
Again, Your Honor, I believe it was on the sticky note that we provided to the defense.
Okay.
That said, Your Honor, and excuse me. I apologize.
It's okay.
In opening statements, defense opening statements, the defense mentioned an opinion offered by this witness as to his findings regarding any abuse or neglect that occurred regarding the call that we just heard about from the last witness. Excuse me. And it's the state's position that opened the door to the basis of that opinion. The state being able to challenge the basis, the information that witness had regarding the abuse, regarding the investigation, information that he received prior to authoring that opinion, the witnesses that he spoke with, the information that he learned from them, as well as his observations, who was present when he interviewed the child. Again, that information was offered by the attorney at opening.
Basically, what they said was that he would say that he did not notice. What was it that you said? I can go back and look, but
it was both that he did not notice that essentially that the report was unsubstantiated, which is the terminology that DCYF uses in closing a report, that it's either substantiated or unsubstantiated. And
so
he to the jury that the report was unsubstantiated. And I would just say, Your Honor, this would be the equivalent of asking an officer who testifies their ultimate opinion of guilt or innocence of a defendant. And so under 703, the rule on expert testimony, when such an opinion is offered, an expert opinion, which was unnoticed to the state can then, or the person that's challenging that evidence, so not the moving party or the proponent of that evidence, but the other party can then challenge that evidence, and inadmissible, what would otherwise be inadmissible, becomes relevant and admissible once that opinion is offered. And that opinion was given to the jurors. And I would argue that bell cannot be unrung, and that we get to challenge that opinion.
and what is it that you want to say? So what is it that you want to get into then?
The statements that he was provided, the statements that he was provided that led to his investigation, the statements, the witnesses that he spoke to, what he was told, what he reviewed.
So you want to get into the whole investigation that led to the determination that it was unsubstantiated.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, let me see what the defense has to say, and then I may have some more questions. Go ahead.
Sure. So the 703, it's not applicable, Your Honor. This is not expert testimony. We're talking about a factual finding, or a lack of a factual finding, rather, made by a fact-gathering witness. So this is no expert opinion.
But whether expert or not expert, I guess the question then becomes, if you're going to ask him, you deemed this unsubstantiated, why could they not talk about all of the information that went into the ultimate conclusion?
Well, I think that perhaps they could, but as long as also it allows for Harmony's own words to be used and what she said, and the circumstances surrounding her being interviewed alone. There can't be cherry picking.
Well, although you're basically, you put in information that then leads them to open the door to the information that you actually want to get in. That seems a little suspect, Attorney Brooks. No? In fact, I'll look, but I think there's some law on you opening the door for the purposes of getting in otherwise.
I'm not opening my own door, Your Honor. I'm not allowed to do that. But the state in turn shouldn't be able to just selectively pick various things. And I have no idea at this point what they would be seeking to introduce. Perhaps we can have a discussion about that during the break. But this is not a 703 or an expert situation. 703 is inapplicable. Again,
It does feel that it leaves the jury with a misleading impression. If you just get to say, he reported, Kevin Montgomery reported this to you and ultimately you deemed it unsubstantiated. And that is my concern. So, and then it does seem that your expectation would be that they would then get to put in the other parts of that, the rest of the investigation, which would include the statements that you would like to get in, which would be Harmony's statements. I mean, isn't that sort of the natural?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the state is seeking to get in. I'm not sure what from the DCYF investigation they're seeking to get in, or the limitations of that investigation, or the fact that there may have been subsequent information that Soros did not have. I don't know.
Let me ask you, Attorney Knowles, what are you trying to get into?
The substance of the investigation.
I know, but what is the substance beyond that Harmony had said that? Because what you don't, well, let me start here. If I let you get into what you want to get into, and then the state says, well, if you say that, then we want to get into Harmony's statements. Is that acceptable to you, that it just all comes in, everything about the investigation? Sure.
Your Honor, the state's fine with getting into Harmony's statement, but understanding that that statement was not made alone, this was just represented. She wasn't alone when that statement was made.
And the balance of the information that you want to admit with respect to the defense having said that it was unsubstantiated is what?
The substance of the statement that the caseworker received in responding to the call and initiating the investigation, what he did with that information.
But can you just tell me what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to understand where we're going with this so we don't end up in the middle of trial. So go ahead.
So it's Kevin Montgomery's call, his repeated calls to DCYF.
And the substance of those calls, or just that he's
those calls.
okay?
And I would admit those through the witness.
Okay, so the substance of those calls being what? Tell me, walk me through what you want to admit here. And I'll give you a chance to respond. I'm just trying to get the lay of the land here. You all have this discovery. I don't have this.
So I'm looking at Bates 2084.
Yep.
Reporter is hard to follow and understand. Reporter said that he came back from Florida on Monday, July 22nd, 2019. And his 4-year-old niece had a shiner from her 29-year-old father. Reporter said that the reasons for the shiner was that the father gave an ass whooping because the 4-year-old had been left alone with the 2-month-old, the 6-month-old, while the father was in the bathroom. Reporter heard from her niece and nephew that the baby had been crying, screaming, so the 4-year-old had to put a hand over the 2-month-old's mouth. Father said that the 4-year-old did this very tight and hard and very hard. Father said that he had beaten the dog shit out of her. When reporter left for Florida, there was one running water in the home, and now the electric had been shut off. And I'm just reading the statement.
Okay, basically, you just want to get in. You want to get in the rest of Kevin Montgomery's statement.
Correct. I want to get into the rest of his statements, but I also want to get.
You had Kevin Montgomery on the stand, so I'm.
Right.
So I'm not sure why we're having this conversation.
So, Judge.
Yeah.
Again, the defense rung this bell. They opened the door under the opening the door doctrine, which I believe I've proved for this court previously. It makes evidence that would otherwise be inadmissible, hearsay, relevance, admissible. Our argument is that evidence, those statements, in addition to what Demetrios, the witness who will testify did with those statements, what he did with the information, or what he didn't do, that now becomes admissible. It allows
Why
us.
was that, though, what you just read to me, not admissible through Kevin Montgomery, who you had on the stand?
It's offered for another purpose, to challenge that witness's opinion that was offered to the jury. To say, this is the information that you received. Let's talk about what you.
So
did.
so you essentially, okay, now I think I'm understanding maybe better. You want to undermine the fact that he came to an opinion that this was unsubstantiated by using, just strengthening the statements made by Kevin Montgomery to him. So you want to basically say, he told you all of these things and you still found it unsubstantiated.
Contacted you on this date,
Okay.
And, okay.
Yes. And what he did with that information, Your Honor.
And what did he do with that information?
I think the evidence would be that he did nothing with that information, Judge. He contacted the police and told them it was a non-issue without seeing the child.
Okay, so
when he saw the child, he saw an injury to the child, which was also discussed to the jurors. And he still found it unsubstantiated. Investigating.
Okay, so why? So putting aside, the Kevin Montgomery's additional statements, do we all agree that Mr. Soros could testify? You were. It's my understanding. It's your plan to elicit that ultimately he made a finding that the report was unsubstantiated, and then the state is going to say, so even though this Mr. Kevin Montgomery contacted you and told you all of these things, you didn't follow up. That's right. You didn't do anything further. That's right. And ultimately you came to that conclusion that's unsubstantiated. That we can all agree that that's admissible so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just to be clear, though, and I don't think the state is suggesting this, but just so there's no misunderstanding, Mr. Montgomery
Kevin Montgomery, yeah.
made a lot of phone calls, continued on and on and on for months into, I think, 2000.
Okay.
After Harmony was even gone, making all kinds of sets of allegations. Obviously, that would not be coming in. The door isn't open to everything or anything. And also tangential to the concern about the black eye, which was reported on the 29th. There was also think about a spoon or potential drug activity. And obviously that is not something that should be allowed to get into.
Okay. So let's put aside the drug information for a moment. It sounds like we are not in disagreement, except that the statements by Kevin Montgomery, I mean, you can say, now you got a call from Kevin Montgomery and he contacted you and he informed you that he was aware of this abuse, and then what did you do? And then you can follow up, because it's your view that it's what he didn't do that undermines the defense view that this is unsubstantiated and therefore did not occur. So I think that is admissible. But I don't know about all of the hearsay statements from a witness you just put on the stand and didn't elicit the additional statements from. I'm not convinced about that.
Well, then, Judge, I would move to strike. I move to admonish the defense for making that statement to the jury.
No. Take a minute, yes.
Your Honor, the state seeks to challenge the basis of the opinion that was offered to the jury. The basis including what this witness was told about Kevin Montgomery, what he did with that information. So challenging the basis of what he was told. And I would note that that includes drug use. That was part of the report. It wasn't just the black eye, it was drug use. And when the witness went to the home, he saw evidence of drug use. He saw drug paraphernalia, and still he found that the report was unfounded. So it's the basis, the foundation of his report, the foundation of the opinion that he gave, that the abuse was unsubstantiated, that this claim, and this is a specific claim which was unfounded. It's report number 826-330, which includes claims of the abuse, claims of drug use.
Okay. So I think what they're trying to do is just, they're trying to argue if you put in the information that it was deemed unsubstantiated, they can challenge that, the basis for that finding. Do you have any objections?
Sure, but I think the context of the opening statement was very clear about what there was not evidence of. So if I'm hearing the state correctly, they are seeking to introduce evidence about drug use.
Yes. They are, what they are arguing is that if you cross-examine that witness to say, you did an investigation and you found that it was unsubstantiated, that they get to challenge that. That is that, and basically undermine his opinion to say you found it unsubstantiated, even though you found abuse and neglect unsubstantiated, even though there was evidence of drug use in the house, even though there were several reports. There was this report of a black eye, and you didn't go to the house, you didn't do X, Y, and Z. That's what they want to do if you are going to bring in the evidence that it is unsubstantiated.
Okay, fair enough. I can certainly not use that word, but I think at the same time, I should be able to elicit the facts, the observations that he saw and did not see with regard to the state's second-degree assault charge. He was there to investigate that.
Okay, so then I'm thinking that what you are going to want is some kind of curative instruction about the finding that it was unsubstantiated if now the defense is not intending to go down that road. And I really need to give the staff a break, so we're going to...
We could discuss that maybe over the break.
Is he going to be the first witness that you're going to call?
He's not going to be the very first witness, Your Honor, that we're called on. Just briefly, he's going to be third witness that we call.
Okay, so maybe we may have a little bit of time in the mid-afternoon break, but I do want to have us come to some conclusion about this beforehand. So
if I can just clarify, Your Honor, from our perspective. So with regards to if the defendant is intending to ask about his findings, and then what his observations are, certainly relative to those findings, then the state is seeking to ask about what his other observations were and what he did or did not do before he reached those findings. And our position is that those findings have already been talked about now in opening argument, with the implication that the conclusion was made that this was unfounded. So in essence, that the door has been opened, the bell has been rung, that there is a finding out there that this event was unfounded, despite what Kevin Montgomery just testified to or the other work that was done. If that's there, and if we're going to be talking about the findings of what did Mr. Saros do, then the state should be able to ask also what else did Mr. Saros know, and what else did he do and not do. So it's
what do you mean? What did he know in terms of that investigation? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Not in terms of
I just want to make sure
why
we
the
are just
investigation
talking
was.
about this investigation.
This
Okay. And then, so there's basically two questions on the table. If they go down the road to challenge Mr. Soros's findings in any way, it is your view that you want to talk about what did he know in coming to those findings and what did he do or not do in coming to those findings only as it relates to that particular investigation. And if the defense is now saying, maybe we don't want to go down that road, then we've got to talk about, I understand it's your view that they rang the bell and in any event, you get to do all of it. And I'm not yet convinced. So I guess Attorney Brooks, you're going to have to make a very, very clear decision about that.
Oh, and I think the decision will be clear.
What if you have the decision?
Sure, I'm not going to ask for if he made a specific finding as part of his obligation as a DCYF person.
Then you need to be thinking about the issue about a curative instruction if I don't say that you've already opened the door to it. Okay. So we're going to go off the record now.
Okay.
Because I do want the staff to take a break. If you want to say something to me off the record, I will listen to it, but
Okay.
then we can put it on the record. But otherwise, we're going to think about where we are. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, and with all of this said, because of this being extra long, the lunch break would be kicking in now for everybody. So the lunch break is now. And so I've decided that because of this huge extra 30 plus minute, this wasn't supposed to happen, I'm going to do a separate stream for the later interviews, Jesus, Lana. The later testimonies, and I may even do it off of it not being live and do it later just to keep it all the way that I would like. But again, thank you so much for being here this morning, and I will see you all just a tad bit later. Got lots to cover. Got so much going on, all the way from Aliquippa, all the way from Pennsylvania, all the way to Idaho, and everything in between. So